All right, so now we're going to do 1.5 part 2. And so now we're going to look at how do you find the equation of a line if you're given 2 points. And so we looked earlier at 1 point with the given slope. So if you're not given the slope, it's not that big of a deal as long as you have 2 points, because what we can do is begin by using the two given points to find the slope. So we're going to have to use our slope formula in order to find the slope. Then next, we'll use the slope and either of the given points. It doesn't matter which one you pick, okay? And then use the slope-intercept form equation, which hopefully you're making the connection between slope and point slope. Those formulas actually are the same, just manipulated. And then from there, we want to go ahead and put it in slope-intercept form, our preferred form. Okay, so we're going to start out with some that aren't too bad, and then eventually we'll get into some of those fraction ones that can get a little messy. All right, so looking at this first one right here, I'm going to label my points. This will be my first point, and this will be my second point, and I'm going to do my slope formula. So m equals, so let's see, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so let's see, on top, 10 take away 4 is 6. On bottom, that's going to become -1 plus 2. So they're competing against each other. One's negative and one's positive, and you're adding them together. So take the difference, which is 1, and it will be a positive 1. So 6 divided by 1, we just want to go ahead and write that as a 6. Okay, so make sure you kind of follow the algebra that occurred right there. Okay, next, our point slope formula. I'm going to go ahead and write that down. Now I have to pick either point. It really doesn't matter which one I pick. I typically try to pick the one with smaller numbers. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to choose the first point right here. So let's see, we're going to have y minus 4 equals 6 times x minus a negative 2. All right, so we'll fix this. So y minus 4 equals 6 times x plus 2. And then we're going to distribute the 6. So y minus 4 equals 6x plus 12. And then now we're going to add 4 to both sides. And that should do it. So we should end up with y equals 6x plus 16. Now, I'm not going to do this for all of them, but you can see that if you were to, I'm just going to do a little t-chart here, make this easy. If I were to let x equal negative 2, if I were to let x equal negative 2, this would become negative 12 once I, multiply it by 6. And then when I add 16 to it, that's a positive 4. So you can see that's my first point over here. And if I were to plug in negative 1, this would become negative 6. Negative 6 plus 16 is positive 10. So I can see that's my second point right there. Okay, so that one wasn't too bad. This next one I don't think will be much different, but let's see. So label the point and find the slope. So let's see, negative 8 minus negative 4 over negative 7 minus 1. On top, I have double negatives. I'll go ahead and show the work here. So that'll become a plus 4. On bottom, I have negative 7, take away 1. So I'm already down 7. I'm taking away another one. So altogether, I'm down 8. Okay. So then negative 8 plus 4. So they're different signs. Take the difference, which is 4. But it's going to be a negative 4 because the larger number was negative. So we were getting pulled in two directions, negative 8 and then plus a positive 4. Take the difference, but then keep the sign of the larger number. So the larger number was negative, so we keep a negative right there. Now, we can simplify this, so we want to go ahead and do that. So I can go ahead and cancel out the double negatives if I want to start there. So the double negatives will cancel out. Negative divided by negative is positive. And then 4 divided by 8, they're both divisible by 4, so I can reduce that to a 1/2. So now I have my slope. Now I Can pick either point. Once again, I'll just pick the first one. The numbers are smaller. You can pick the second one. You can do both of them just to see if it comes out the same, which it will. So let's see, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so let's plug in our values. Y minus -4 equals 1/2 times x minus 1. So I do have double negatives right here. We'll take care of that. So that'll become y plus 4 equals 1/2 times x minus 1. Now I'm going to have to distribute that 1/2, and I'll bring it up over here so we can try to keep this all on one slide. So let's see, we have y plus 4 equals 1/2 x, and then 1/2 times a minus 1 is just going to be minus 1/2. Okay, and if you want to, you can put it over 1, but 1 times 1, there's the 1, 2 times 1, there's the 2. Positive with a minus, so basically 1 positive, 1 negative. That's why I kept the minus sign right there. The last step will be to subtract 4 from both sides. And so what we're going to do here is we are going to have to get a LCD. So I need an LCD of 2, so I'm going to manipulate that by multiplying that by 2 over 2. So I end up with y equals 1/2 x minus 1/2. And now that minus 4, I'm actually going to change that into a minus 8 over 2 so that I can have a common denominator. Okay, now here, take these signs into account. So you're subtracting 1 over 2 and you're subtracting 8 over 2. So they're both subtracting, so they're both on the same team. So what we'll do is we'll add them together and keep the minus sign, and then all over 2. All right, so let's look at a few more of these. Okay, so here's another one. So we'll go ahead and label our points. x1, y1. Find our slope to start with. So let's see, 6 minus 9 over -1 minus -5. So on top, 6 take away 9. Basically, that's 6 plus a -9. If you're doing it in your head, that's fine. I don't want to skip any steps and confuse anybody. But if you can do that without having to do this, this is fine. And then right here, this will become -1 plus 5 because of the double negatives. So in both cases, they're competing with each other. You're adding numbers together with different signs. So take the difference, subtract the smaller from the larger, and then keep the sign of the larger number. So on top, that'll be a -3 because I have a 6 and a 9, different signs. So I subtract the 6 from 9, which is 3, but the larger number was negative. And then all over -1 plus 5. Once again, I'll subtract the 1 from the 5, and I get a 4. This time it will be +4 because the larger number was positive. So now I have my slope. Now I have to pick one of these points. It really doesn't matter which one you pick. If you want to pick the first point, that's fine. I'm actually going to pick the second point just because the numbers are a little bit smaller. -1 and 6 instead of having to deal with a -5 and a 9. Either way, you would get the same answer. So I'm going to go ahead and write down our formula. And then we'll start plugging in. Okay, so to start with, we have double negatives right there. So we'll go ahead and fix that. So y minus 6 equals -3 over 4 times x plus 1 turns to a plus. Now I'm going to have to distribute the -3/4. And this one's actually kind of simple like the last one because I'm just going to multiply it by a +1 right here. Go ahead and write up here where I have more room. So let's see, I have y minus 6 equals -3 over 4x. And then this will become a -3 over 4 because a negative times a positive, and I'm multiplying it by 1. 1 times anything, you actually just get the same thing back. Now the last part we have to do is add 6 to both sides. And so I am going to have to get a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the 6 by a 4 over 4. So that cancels out right here. And then I'm going to have y equals negative 3 over 4x. Then I've got minus 3 over 4. And then this will become a plus. Let's see, 6 times 4 is 24. 1 times 4 is 4. So I do have my common denominator. And so now, let's see, I have a minus 3 over 4 plus a 24 over 4. So I'm going to add these numbers together, but they're different signs, so they're competing. So instead, take the difference. So I'm going to subtract 3 from 24, which is 21. And 24 was the larger number, and it's positive, so my answer on that combining those together will be positive. So I'm going to put plus 21 over 4. And there we go. Okay, got just a few left. I think I got 2 left, or 3 left. The last 2 are special cases, so they go kind of quick. All right, so on number 10, let's see, x1, y1, x2, y2. And so let's see, we'll take the difference, 6 minus 8 over 8 minus negative 2. Let's see, that'll equal, let's see, negative 2 on top. I didn't show my work there. Let me go ahead and show my work just to make sure. So what I'm going to do is this is the same thing as 6 plus a negative 8. And then on bottom I have double negatives, so that'll become a plus 2. Now on top, 6 plus negative 8, once again, a little tug of war going on. The negative value wins by 2. On bottom, they're both the same, so just add them together. Positive 10 right there. And then this can reduce to negative 1/5. Those were both divisible by 2, so I cut them both in half, and it stays negative. And I just keep the negative up top. Okay, so I'm going to use that slope. I'm going to pick a point. I'll pick the first point this time. And let's go ahead and plug in our values. Okay, I do have double negatives right there, so we'll deal with that. Okay, and then now we're going to distribute the negative 1/5. Okay, so we're going to have y minus 8 equals, and then negative 1/5 x. And then this is going to become a minus 2 over 5. Okay, so negative 1 times the positive 2, so it became a minus 2 on top. 5 times 1 is 5 on bottom right there. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add an 8 to both sides. And once again, to get a common denominator, I'll multiply the 8 by 5 over 5 so that I can combine those together in a moment. So let's see, we get y equals negative 1/5 x. So we got a minus 2 over 5, and we get a plus 40 over 5. 40 over 5. So what we have going on here again is we're going to have, they're going to be competing because we have a minus 2 over 5 and a plus 40 over 5. So subtract the smaller from the larger, which is 38, and it will be positive because the larger number was positive. So y equals negative 1/5 x, and then plus 38 over 5. Okay. All right, our last 2, like I said, those are going to be our special cases. Those are going to be our flat lines and our vertical lines, and you should be able to figure that out when you get the slope. So let's go ahead and get our slope for this first one, number 11. Okay, so on top, I'm going to end up getting 3 plus 4. On bottom, 5, take away 5. I had 5, take away 5, I have 0. So I end up with 7 over 0. And so you might be unsure, what is it? Is it 0? Is it undefined? Well, a way to try to remember this is if the 0 is under the line, it's undefined. So just a little way to help you remember that. So undefined, okay? And so you should automatically think vertical line. Yes, and that means that it's going to be x equals something, okay? And so the best thing for you to do is just make yourself a little picture and plot these points. So over 5, down 4, over 5, up 3. And what you'll notice what these points have in common is the x value is 5, right? The x value is 5. So that's what the answer is, x equals 5. That's the equation of the line we're looking for. Okay, 12. Let's see, we'll go ahead and label and check this out. So let's see, -6 minus -6 over 2 minus 3. So the double negative on top will become addition. 2 take away 3. You're taking away more than you have, so that becomes a -1. I didn't quite show as much work as some of my previous ones, but I think y'all probably got the hang of this. And so on top, -6 plus 6 is 0. On bottom, we have -1. Now, this one does equal 0, so this time the slope is 0. So you should automatically realize that it's going to be a flat line. And in this case, it's going to be a y equals something, right? So once again, we can just kind of do ourselves a little generic sketch of this. Oops. There we go. So let's see. I've got a point at over 3, down 6, and I got another point that's over 2, down 6. So they're pretty much right next to each other. But you'll notice that the slope is 0, and so the y value in this case is -6 on both of them, and that's the equation of this line, y equals -6. Now, in this particular case, if you really wanted to, you could do point slope since you know the slope is 0, but it's probably faster just to take a moment to kind of think about what's taking place, and that'll kind of give you a better understanding anyways. So, all right, so I hope this helps. That's going to be the conclusion of our first unit. And so if you have any questions, don't wait. Go ahead and make sure you send them my way.